Once again, a very good morning to each and everyone present here. My name is Himashri R, and on behalf of UKG, Skillsoft, Better Place, XED, Marching Sheep, B Sharp, StatBeans, Regenesis, People Logic, and Gain Skills Business Media, welcome you all to the CHRO Confex and Awards 2023 Bangalore chapter. The CHRO Confex and Awards 2023 Bangalore chapter provides a platform for collaboration, innovation, and recognition. We applaud the strategic leadership of CHROs who understand that an organization's success lies in its people. They might nurture talent, foster an inclusive culture, and drive organizational growth. Throughout this event, we will delve into the critical HR topics from talent management to well being and digital transformation. Esteemed speakers will share insights and best practices guiding us towards a future of excellence. Today, we will honor outstanding CHROs through the CHRO Awards. Their contributions have made a profound impact on their organizations and the HR profession. Their dedication inspires us all to reach new heights. We extend our gratitude to our sponsors and partners whose support is invaluable in advancing the HR profession. Together, we will shape workplaces that inspire and transform lives. Thank you. With this note, I would like to introduce our chairperson for the day. Sumeet, as the country manager of UKG India, leads the long-term strategy and growth in the Indian workforce management market. With a history of diverse roles within UKG, including solution, consulting, business development, marketing, and sales leadership, he has been pivotal in the company's growth. Before UKG, Sumit held positions at Aditya Birla Group, Oracle, and Tata Consultancy Service. He holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering and a PGDIM in management from the National Institute of Industrial Engineering. I would request you all to please put your hands together and welcome our chairperson for the day, Mr. Sumit.
Is there a bit of an echo? Okay, it's good, right? Thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time coming over here. I hope this is going to be a very productive day for all of you. I look forward to interacting with as many of you as possible, learning a lot from the leaders that are there in this room. So today I want to kick off with a little bit of a talk on how we can empower HR leaders to drive more excellence. Not just people excellence, but operational excellence. And when we start thinking about it, let's look at the world around us, right? We live in a VUCA world. We are all used to that term now. It's a term that has been used in the HR fraternity for a long time now, but it's never been truer than now. It starts right from we leaving our home and reaching this place on time. I thought I'll come here in 30 minutes. It took me 50 minutes. Thankfully, I had enough buffer to be here on time, and I'm sure there are many others who will take their time to come in. So it starts from there, and as HR leaders, you've got to manage your employees in a world that has changed completely in the last few years, right? The uncertainty is extremely high. The employee uncertainties are higher, what do you do? How do you manage some of these emerging dynamics? So more and more research says one thing, and I think it's a no-brainer that the more resilient organizations are, the better they are able to manage their workforce, drive their organization in the right direction to succeed in this new world. When we talk of the VUCA world, we tend to think of VUCA more from a slightly negative perspective, which is the negatives, the headwinds that are affecting us. Maybe there is the war with Russia and Ukraine and the inflation and whatnot. But it's not just the headwinds. There are a whole lot of tailwinds that affect an organization, and how do you react to those tailwinds also plays a huge role. And India as a country, as an economy, I think today we probably have more tailwinds than headwinds, right? So I want to start off with a quick video for all of you, and a lot of the data is probably known to you, but I think this is an interesting one for us to start off our day. and then I dig deeper. So these are some very, very impressive stats, right? When you think about it, we're going to add 22% of the world's workforce in the next 10 years. I mean, unbelievable. We'll probably have a workforce of about 1 billion. But all of that directly impacts you, right, in managing your workforce. When you manage your workforce, this growth is going to come. This growth is going to come to our country. Some of you, and hopefully all of you, are going to be winners. Some of you will not probably win, but the difference between that winner and the loser will be how, as an organization, you are resilient and drive through some of the trends that are emerging. So I'm going to talk about a few mega trends that UKG identified as part of its research with a whole lot of researchers across the world. And there are 3 key trends that I'm going to talk about today. First one is, and I'm bringing it back to focusing on employees, while the growth will take us to some big places, but end of day, it has to be delivered through our employees, right? So I'm bringing it back to our employees. The first big trend that is evolving is because of the changes that the employees have witnessed over the last 2-3 years, the pandemic and all. Employees are experiencing chronic anxiety. And what can we do to improve on that as HR leaders? I'll talk a little bit about that. The second one is organizations need to start driving more organizational plasticity. I'll explain that in a little more detail in the coming slides, but organizational plasticity is picked up from, many of you may have heard the term called neuroplasticity. So neuroplasticity, at one time it was assumed that after 30 or 35 years your brain does not grow. But research has shown more and more now that you can grow constantly, your brain can grow constantly in your life, where your different parts of your brain can keep connecting as you try and learn and grow. Organizations itself can do the same. So we'll talk about that a little more, and I think that's critical to withstand today's turbulence. And finally, the changing dynamics of the leadership. Many of you, all of us, belong to, not all of us, many of us belong to the Gen X here, right? And these are a new set of leaders that are emerging. And their tastes and their thought processes and how they work are very different. And that has a dynamic in itself in terms of how you manage yourself and your people. So let me dive into each one of these quickly. Employees, right? There is a constant emotional undercurrent of anxiety. There was a time when organizations used to think of employees, taking them to a higher level at Maslow's hierarchy, and that was the thought process. But with the pandemic, lot of things changed. For example, there was a research that was conducted by Workforce Institute at UKG a few months back, in fact, which talked about mental health. And it was interesting to observe that 69% of the people felt that managers had the greatest impact on their mental health. Not spouses, not friends, not anything else around them. Not colleagues, not subordinates, managers. Think about it. It's a huge, huge statement, right? This was more than the impact of the doctor and the therapist, right? So people at work matters, right? And managers managing their employees matters. There was a 25% increase in anxiety due to the pandemic. Psychologists have been sold out in most places, if not all, right? All of this leads to the fact that we as HR leaders need to be able to manage this better. While on one side you have this stat, on the other side, there was also a great place to work stat, great place to work, which is now a UKG company, some of you may know that, actually ran a survey which talked about the best places to work, how do employees feel about themselves in those places to work. And I won't go through all those stats, but if you see, 85% believe that their work has special meaning and isn't just a job. For people who believe that, they are not going to be mentally stressed, right? So as an organization, if you are a great place to work, if employees feel that it's a great place to work, you will actually not have some of the challenges that you've seen in slide number 1, and you actually start moving to this area. So what can we do? If given some of these thoughts, what can as an organization, as HR leaders we do? First and foremost, I think the whole concept of flexibility has changed dramatically in the last few years because of the pandemic. I think, I keep saying this, in 2020 we used to say that the world is going through the greatest experiment ever of working from home. That I think was a simpler experiment. Today each organization is struggling with how do I determine how my employees need to work from home, from office, which function needs to work from where, how much flexibility do I need to give to whom. It's a constant tussle, battle in every organization that I see. But we've got to crack that code. And when you prioritize fairness and flexibility, you will have employees who have a much better mental state of mind and delivering better, right? I should say, coming from a technology company, an HR technology company, I should say that tech plays a very big role in trying to drive this. When you have to go down to a level of each employee managing their preferences at an employee level, you cannot do that manually. You really got to bring in tech, you really got to bring in artificial intelligence to try and drive some of these. And there are tools that can help you with some of these things, by the way. Deliver respect and trust, make people know you're looking out for them. Again, data helps. At times, when you do a dipstick at the end of the year, you probably would have lost the employee already. How do you do this at a more real-time basis? How do you determine data points from your organization in a more real-time basis and use that to drive better respect and trust for your employees? Inspiration and fulfillment. Connect more deeply with employees. I think it's self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into too many details on that. That's point number 1. Now let's look at organizational plasticity. As I said, organizational plasticity the term was coined from the term neuroplasticity. Both of these terms, in fact, neuroplasticity has been picked up a little more in the last few years. It's about the ability of an organization, like an ability of a human, to learn, change, and adapt to the evolving scenarios and dynamics of the environment, external and internal. And if you don't, these are some of the stats that you will see. Again, research done by Workforce Institute at UKG, the research was called We Can Fix Work. 46% of the employees worldwide would not recommend their company or profession to their children, right? Think about it. You're doing it because you've gotten onto that line, you probably don't want to, that's your life, that's the bread earner, etc., but you want your children to do something else. 38%, and that to me was funny also, and surprising also, 38% won't wish their job even to their worst enemy. Okay, I don't think I'm in that boat though, but, but that came out, right? So the point is, if these things are coming out, there are employees who are not, who need to feel better about their organization, which means the organization needs to improve a few things about themselves. The culture needs to improve, the people and culture networks where ideas flow freely, voices are heard, employees need to believe that that's happening. You become life aware, understand and consider the individual needs of people. Again, how do you go at an individualized level, right? Not easy, but that's where technology can help you. Strategic workforce planning, how do you plan better to get the right workforce at the right time over a period of time? These are all aspects that can help an organization, and as you dig deeper, and I'm trying to talk about this at what you might call as a 90,000 feet level. As you dig deeper into this and try and drive actions out of this, you can drive a whole lot of actions which an organization can initiate to be able to drive better outcomes. Last but not the least, I'll take 2 more minutes, I know my time's up, but last but not the least is the change in the dynamics at the leadership itself for an organization. As we move to this next few years, a lot of leadership change at the top is moving from the boomers generation to the Gen X. Most of us here would probably be in the Gen X or Gen Y perhaps, and these people, the research says these people come in from kind of have 2 things going for them. One, they are as digital savvy as the millennials, but at the same time their leadership skills are as good or better as the boomers. So this is a set of leaders that actually can do a lot for an organization, but they are faced with a set of employees who are not just money oriented, right? People today look at the causes that an organization is also working for. For example, 68% of the people thought that they would leave an organization if the organization does not take a strong stance on societal and cultural issues. This was not the case 10 years back. All of us know it, right? Today, all of us want to be associated with an organization that actually has a right societal stand. It's probably at different scales and levels, maybe in different countries. We can debate that, but it's happening everywhere. 76% of employees have increased expectation of how their company supports them. Company owes more than just compensation. So there is a constant thought process that just giving you the right amount of money and solving the problem is no longer the case. So what can HR do to really drive this? And there is a lot of work already happening on this. For example, people are more connected to DEI and B, right? They need to be more included, they need to be felt belonged, and there is a lot of work that HR can do to drive DEIB initiatives, and I know many of you will be very, very keen and focused on doing that. How do you drive inclusion right from the beginning? And when we say inclusion, one of the things that I keep telling in a lot of my talks is inclusion not just for the top tier employees or the white collared employees. If you have a manufacturing organization, how do you drive inclusivity for your blue collared and your contract employees also? They need to feel belonged in an organization. Then they will give you more. And finally, the social responsibility. Tap into your causes. What are the CSR activities you're doing? What do your employees relate to? And that will drive more retention. So in summary, if I bring it all together, I think these are some of the key trends that as HR leaders you need to be considerate about. How do you handle employee anxiety and what are the things you can do there? How do you drive more organizational plasticity, which is where the connection between employee performance and organizational performance comes in, and the changing demographics of leadership and how people's thoughts are changing. So success relies on prioritizing people and their experience. So thank you so much for listening to me, giving the time. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. We don't have time for Q&A, so hopefully in break I can spend a lot of time conversing with you and hear your thoughts. Thank you again for your patient hearing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sumeet Doshi. I request you all to have your Q&As in the networking break. I would like to now invite Mr. Kashi Vishwanath, Head HR, CMMB and IMB Larsen & Toubro to do the honors by felicitating Mr. Sumeet Doshi. Thank you so much, Mr. Kashi Vishwanath, for doing the honors. Thank you so much, Mr. Sumeet Doshi, for that wonderful words.